there's no visual component now. I was listening to a guitar show on YouTube, so I guess watching it, I should have said. Um, but they said, these days, if you're not if people can't see you, if you're not a visual presence, you don't really exist. And I thought that's a very good point. It's a
With
very good,
with guitar stuff, music stuff, or just
just in
everything.
general, like even podcasts and stuff are on YouTube. There's a
Yeah.
video presentation. Um, and their point was back in the day you could just be a really good guitarist and get gigs and get jobs, and now if you don't exist somewhere on the internet with a video, like some sort of visual presence, it's like you're not even really there.
It's so hard. It's like I'm gonna play my guitar while I juggle on top of this moving car while I do the splits.
On
And people are
fire.
like, interesting. I'll give you one like for
Guitar
that.
fails.
Yeah, you gotta have guitar fails.
There's so many of those fails videos.
What would a guitar fail be? With the string breaks? Boom, which has happened to you?
Maybe, but I think it has to be more disastrous. Like who's the Jonas brother that was on that show and played in the complete wrong key, didn't know what he was
Nick.
doing? Was it Nick?
Is that one of them?
That's one of them. That's the
Damn,
only
I'm
one
good.
whose first name I know.
That's the one.
But there was a Jonas that was on live TV playing guitar, and he screwed up real bad.
Like the whole song?
He only played like one little part, and he screwed it all up.
That's unfortunate. I remember there was a video. It was Guns N' Roses. I don't know. It was recent, but not too recent. Maybe 10 years ago. And Slash starts doing the guitar for "Sweet Child of Mine," and it's in the wrong key note, and it didn't even sound like it's like. So he does like the first seven notes or whatever, and it doesn't sound it, and he's just like, "Nope," and he starts tuning up his shit, and Axel just like, "Oh no, that's my fault. I tuned up his guitar." Like he does a little riff on it,
Hmm.
and it was just pretty fucking cool. And then he's like, "No, I've got it now. Let's do this good song."
Yeah, there's some
That's yeah.
some funny fail videos like that. There's a Metallica one where, like you mentioned, the tuning thing. The tech brought James the wrong guitar, or no, the tech brought Rob the wrong bass. So everyone was playing like a half step lower than he was, or higher, or something. So and then a half step is that's really noticeable because it's like the most dissonant interval for them to be. It wasn't good.
So was it like overbearing? Were they looking at him like, "You going into business for yourself over there?"
Yeah,
Rob?"
yeah, it was. I mean, he noticed right away too, and he's just like,
He's
shit.
got that look like, "Ooh, there's nothing I can do."
What's
We're
bad
doing
though is
it.
when you can't really hear. One time I had a string that was, somehow the string got a half step higher than it should have been, but I've played many shows where I can not really hear what I'm playing. So I didn't notice until like halfway through the song, and I was like, "Oh shit, that must have sounded terrible."
Ooh,
Yeah, you get a bad monitor mix or something, so you can just sort of feel that your guitar amp is blowing at your legs, and that's it.
damn.
But then I moved to a different spot on the stage. It's like, oh god, did it sound like that the whole time?
He's going by all the speed. No, like, and then you look out and everybody's shit faced, and you're like, "Oh, they don't care.
Yeah, that happens.
They don't give a shit."
They rarely do.
So how was the Bears game? You couldn't make it to Dungeons and Dragons
Nope.
because you had to go to the Bears game.
I did, and instead of going to the Bears game, I got up at 5 in the morning and just had the stomach flu all day.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
one
then
one day flu.
yeah, it was like a 36-hour thing. I don't know. And I was gonna bring my older son to the game. He also started throwing up that day, so it's a good thing we didn't go because
Oh, if it kicked in when you're like
his
pulling it.
his kicked in at like 2:30 in the afternoon, so we still would have been at the game, and he would have just
Yeah.
been just horfing, and it
Well,
was
it's
bad.
probably good then because it's like, all right, how old is he now?
He's 8.
He's 8. You wake up, you're like, fucking game day, going to the football game with my dad, and then he's like, "Oh, all right, Dad's in there fucking throwing up." That sucks. And then you're like, I'm sorry, son.
Yeah,
Dad's sick. And
I
he's like,
ruined everything.
no. And then he starts joining you, and you're like, phew. See, it would have been fucked either way, boy.
Yeah, we got lucky. We got lucky, sort of, I guess. Not really. It would have been luckier if we didn't get sick and instead went to the game. But he got lucky that he didn't get sick at the game because it was painful. You know, it was like the stabby stomach pain, you know, where you're like, please throw up because it'd be better than this. And mine lasted for quite some time. And his kicked in later, and he went a little harder. He went a little harder than I had to. And then his grandpa got it. So it's like he got it yesterday.
It's just floating. It's like a specter.
Going around, getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm ready. I'm ready for the purge. I've been crushing this diet. I started a diet in November, which is just stay under my calories and try to work out every day, just a little bit. I don't do the workout part. I'll admit that. But my calories every day, except for 2, because it was my dad's birthday and we got shit-faced. And I think yesterday at D&D, I probably went over a little bit. But otherwise, I've hit every day. So 2 days out of the month, that's been a fail. It's not bad. And then Thanksgiving's probably going to be a bust too. So 3 or 4 days out of the month, that's pretty good.
That is good. That's really good.
It's going to be pretty good.
I haven't been able to get on track lately. I've been doing okay. I've been sort of maintaining. I've been exercising more, but not eating less. So I'm only doing half the work.
You're doing the other end that I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm doing half of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I lost a couple pounds yesterday.
I bet you did.
Mm-hmm.
Bet you did.
The hard way. I did it the hard way.
You know what's good for a 36-hour flu?
Not beer.
Not beer. Chicken dinners.
Yeah.
Get them chicken dinners.
You've been getting a lot of them chicken dinners lately, haven't you?
I am made of chicken dinners. We got 4 in a row last night. I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling the high.
Jesus Christ. We got one, what was that, Friday? When was the last time I played? Saturday?
I think it was Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night.
Wow.
Yeah, you showed up for like one game and then just like, all right, gotta go. I'm probably going to get the flu in 3 hours. See ya. And me and Tori were like, that motherfucker just bailed. Like we were trying to get a streak going. You just fucking left.
I'm tired. Well, I had to get up early to go to the Bears game, but instead I got up early to vomit.
Yeah. Me and Tori were playing, and we got a duo's chicken dinner. Then Nar and Corvano showed up, and I was like, look, we just got a chicken dinner. Don't you fucking hold us down because we're feeling it. And then boom, second chicken dinner as a squad. And I said, let's go for 3. Boom, 3. And I was like, look, for shits and giggles, let's keep it going. Tord wanted to go to bed. It was like midnight. It was like 1. It was like, let's see if we can get 4. And boom, we got 4.
God damn.
And then in the 5th game, a lot of us died about halfway through, and it was Corvano. And there's 22 people left. It's squads. 18 people left. 16, 14, 12, 10. 8 people left. He gets it down to 1 guy left.
No!
One guy left. And he's hiding in a tree, and he starts taking shots. Boom, boom, boom. He's getting lit up. So what do you do when you're getting lit up at a tree? You go to the other side of the tree. And he gets to the other side of the tree. I'm thinking, good. I'm fucking giggling because I'm like, he's going to do it. He's going to clutch this. We're going to get 5. And this is unheard of. So I'm stifling laughter. And he goes to the other side of the tree like you're supposed to. And then he does the unthinkable. He goes right back to the other side of the tree.
What? Why?
I still don't know. I don't know. The guy started shooting again. And I guess he thought maybe he wasn't where he thought he was. So he went back to that original place on the tree, and he got murdered. And I let out a fuck. That was so loud because we were so close. I mean, he was doing work. I mean, I was forgiven because he was doing some good shit. But so close to 5.
Yeah. He was in a scenario like that for us before when I was playing. It ended up on military. And he was in like a shed or something, like one of those big outdoor garages with all the open doors. And I want to say it got down to like there was 4 left, but we figured out it was like him and 3 other guys on a squad. But we all died like with 50 left. And he made it all the way to top 5.
Yeah, he'll do that.
It's because he's a rogue. It's because he's a maverick.
It's that, and he just doesn't give a shit. Because when we're playing and my teammates die, I kind of almost also want to die so we can go again and play as a team, so people don't have to just watch me play. But he doesn't give a shit. He's just like, let's go do laundry. I'm gonna try to win this now.
Yeah.
Oh, so fun.
Oh man.
But not here to talk about chicken dinners or PUBG. I want to talk about Halloween H2O.
Yes.
Can we talk about Halloween H2O?
We can. I watched the entire movie today.
Good.
It's the third time I've seen it.
All right. Nah, real quick.
Nah.
Before we get into it, you sent me a clip of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, alternate ending. It's 15 minutes. Like, I started watching it, I was on the shitter, and I was like, I don't plan on being here this long.
Yeah.
I'll watch it later on my computer. And I did. And I have to reiterate this. Why is Paul Rudd so bad in that fucking movie? Even the alternate ending, he's just like, I think it's the thorn.
Yeah.
I think if we get the polarities of the runes, they cancel each other out.
The runes of light. The runes of light will cancel it out. And he gets down on the ground and he starts throwing rocks everywhere and he cuts his... I'm like, oh my God. Can you imagine the test audience reaction to this shit?
Yeah, the lines were bad. They made Donald Pleasance say, like, wait here. And he just, like, shuffles off into nothing. And Paul Rudd just stands there like an asshole. And then he ends up not staying there, which I thought was disrespectful.
And Mitchell Ryan, the guy who plays Dr. Wynn, the lines... Because there's a little office scene in the theatrical cut where he goes to kill Wynn. And it's much shorter. And it's a lot less hokey. But he's like, Thorn, it's Thorn, and I've been the watcher of the Thorn, and now you will be the watcher of the Thorn. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I knew it was some Scooby-Doo level shit when he's just like, it's time you learn the truth.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy, is it? It's time, huh? And yeah, no, then that was after this previous scene with Paul Rudd, when Paul Rudd's like, I think a rune is controlling Michael, and Donald Pleasance out of nothing. Thorn!
Thorn! Why didn't I remember that from nothing? That would have told me about that.
Like, if that was after the Thorn thing, I guess maybe that would make sense, but oh man, what a mess that alternate ending was. And there's the scene where Kara is being ritually tied up and maybe sacrificed, and she's like, it's your baby, isn't it, Michael? Yeah. It's probably your baby.
And Michael's just standing there. And it's like a Temple of Doom scene, you know, where like Willie's captured and Indy's up on the rock and he's looking down. So Paul Rudd's up there looking down at her on the table, and all the cult members are there, and he sees a robe hanging up on the wall. Yeah. Because they just put their extra robes there. And then he dresses like one of them for no reason. Because all he does is just run down there and hold a knife to Dr. Wynn's throat.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And then he's wearing that shit for like 5 minutes. It looks so stupid.
But he does take it off when they leave. Because when he leaves the fucking main doors, he just like throws it right in the trash. I was like, there's no point to any of that. And he looked silly wearing this oversized robe. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's the worst looking Michael Myers when he says, Sam Hain, and it freezes Michael Myers and he can't move.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's a good look at our Michael Myers costume and mask. And it's
pretty bad.
It's worse than 4.
He got some new duds. He got a new jumpsuit. This one's gray.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Breaking with tradition. That mask is
it's shit. I liked there's the part where Michael Myers is on the ground, like paralyzed or whatever, and Dr. Loomis comes and he's like, it's done, Michael. There's some closing comments from Dr. Loomis. Let me pull your mask off. Oh my God, it's Dr. Wynn. And Dr. Wynn, I don't know, he fucking tats him up real quick, and you hear it go you can hear him tatting up his wrist, putting a thorn on him. But he's like, no, Michael's gone. Oh no. And they showed like this hallway, and it's lit very well, and there's a silhouette down there, and it's the Man in Black's clothes, so it's a trench coat, hat, and it's Michael Myers. They did a costume switch, and it was a really cool shot. And you know who it is because they just, revealed this costume exchange. So it's like, oh, there's Michael. He's making his escape. Did a little switcheroo. Cool. But what do? They do a close up of Michael in the shadows, and they pan down to his shoe, and we see the signature shoe of Michael Myers, and we know who it is now because who else would wear a work boot?
Well, here's something else that I think they completely cut out of the theatrical cut, and we're supposed to talk about H2O, so I'll make it brief.
Yeah.
In 5, the Man in Black had these spurs on, these cowboy boots with spurs on, which is, whatever. We don't know anything about this guy, so sure, I'll buy that he wears spurs. But then in this alternate scene at least, they show shots of Wynn with the spurs on, and I'm sure people are like, I'm sorry, why does he wear cowboy boots if he's a doctor at a hospital? And then they had to mansplain that, well, in 5, which came out 6 years ago, he had cowboy, and they're like, I don't care, it looks dumb. You should get rid of those. Which I think they did in the theatrical cut altogether, because he's barely dressed in that costume in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, he's.
But in this one, they're showing you, like, look, no spurs. It's got to be Michael.
Oh, is that what that was for?
I don't know. I guess.
God, that was really stupid because it was a good shot. It was a good close. Like, okay, he's going to be out there in the wild. He's escaped. Michael's still at large. We get it. And then they're like, no, I don't think you do get it. Zoom up on those shoes. God, that annoyed me for some reason.
It's as shitty as the real ending is, because it's still shitty. It's still weird. There's like babies in jars and goop, but it's a final confrontation with Michael and them, and they stab him with the thing and they hit him with the pipe. It's a final battle with Michael Myers, and in this one, they're just like, stop, rocks on the ground, don't you move, and then they leave.
I'm gonna smear my blood. And then Paul Rudd does this thing. He smears his blood. He throws the rocks. And he says, Sam Hain. And Michael freezes in his shoes. And Paul Rudd just stands there.
He does the Tommy twitch.
He does a little twitch.
Does the Tommy twitch.
And it looks like he's going to do something. And then he just leaves. Like, because I thought he was going to taunt him. Like, oh, it looks like you can't move, motherfucker. Oh, look, you're such a badass now. And then Michael will kill him. Or, I don't know, anything. But he just does a little twitch and leaves, and that's when he throws the rope away. It's a shitty movie.
Yes, it is.
Halloween H2O though. Halloween H2O. It's one of my favorites in the franchise. Mostly because a lot of them are just very bad. This one's just a little bad. The working title.
It's got some annoying things in it that I'll talk about.
Oh, Josh Hartnett is annoying.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not Paul Rudd in Part 6 annoying.
Oh God, no!
Right? So you're moving up.
The original working title for the film was Halloween 7: The Revenge of Laurie Strode.
And they said, can we stop reminding people how many shitty ones there are and get rid of that?
And they probably also decided, we're really going to show this Josh Hartnett a lot. So Laurie's very much a B character in this.
And we're going to say 20 years several times, at least 12 in the movie. We'll say, that was 20 years ago. Oh, you mean that guy who did that thing 20 years ago? Come on, Mom, it's been 20 years. So can we put that in the title?
Yeah, what's the name of this movie, Jim?
Halloween H2O.
No.
20 years later.
20 years later. H2O is not enough.
No.
We still got to put it in there 20 years later.
Test audiences had trouble. They thought it was about water. They didn't really get it.
Halloween water, is that I don't know this.
Is that a new chemical compound?
Are we gonna sell the bottled water, Michael Myers water? Because I don't know, there might be money there. This is one of the better opening sequences, not just in Halloween. Obviously, the first film did it better than anyone, but I love this opening sequence.
It had a promising start.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's so good because you got the nurse from 1 and 2, and she's older now, and she's still smoking because that's what she does. And she shows up, and her house, like the front door is a little bit open. It's ajar. And
the light's broken. She steps in the broken glass.
And she does the best thing ever. She doesn't go inside.
No.
She's like, later.
Right.
And she runs next door. Which is good. But she doesn't even make it that far. She doesn't make it next door. She booms right away. She bumps into the kids, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and his cowardly friend.
The first of our jump scares.
Yes. This is a good jump scare.
Yeah.
This is a good jump scare.
It still
and
has
she
impact. It's the first one.
Yes. And yes. She fills them in. Like a fucking door, somebody broke in, and they go back to the neighbor's house, and they call the cops. And he's like, all right, they're on their way. Let me get my old hockey stick. I'm going to go over there because I'm a teen, and I've got all this pent-up energy. And she's like, no, don't do that. And he's like, well, I'm going to do it. And me and my friend are going to go. And the friend's like, no, I'm going to stay with her. Keep her safe. It's just such a little bitch move. And he's like, okay. But he still goes over there. And it's very spooky little scene. I think there's another jump scare there, a cat or something.
There's
in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, the ironing board like falls out of those old school ironing boards that like come out of the wall. One of those falls down.
Yeah, he gets shaken up. He like turns and hits the wall. He breaks some stuff with his.
He smashes off.
Hockey stick.
They liked. Maybe it was popular in the late '90s. I don't know. They had a lot of the kitchen utensils hanging from the middle of the island above shots in this movie, and this was the first one of them. And he knocks them all down with his hockey stick.
No, that was the set designer.
Yeah,
her family, like that's their business.
They have stock in those pot hangers.
Yeah. But yeah, he survives because you might think like, oh, he's gonna fucking eat it so hard, but he doesn't. And he shows up back up next door and says, no, it's good. I checked it out. It's clear. And she goes. This is where she goes back, though, right?
Okay, so
she goes fully back.
He goes in. He says the coast is clear. Everything's fine. He steals some beer out of the fridge.
Hell yeah!
Here's a character. This is a podcast about choices. Here's something. If these two guys are homies, which we get the impression they're homies, they're not just doing like a drug deal. If my homie, look, I try and convince him not to go in there too. But if he goes in there, I go in there too. I don't stay outside, even if I'm super scared. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't not go in there with him. But this is me also. I don't think either one of them thinks Michael Myers is in there. Right. So if he's just like, I heard it. This chick's like, I heard a sound. Your buddy goes in there. You go in with him. You're not gonna. Oh no, I'm too scared. That's. I don't agree with his choice. But here's what happens. So he says the coast is clear. I went in there, stole some beer, and then he blames the intruder on messing up the kitchen. He's like, oh yeah, he went in your office and tore that apart. Oh, and he really knocked all your pots and pans and shit over. Bye. And I was like, oh, that's cute. She goes in the house and we see Michael behind her.
Yeah, we get some cool shot. Very cool shots.
And then she doesn't see him leave, but she sees the back door open. Mm-hmm. So she goes back.
Yeah,
she panics and goes back.
And once again, and this is great because once again we think we just saw him.
Yeah.
This is where she eats it.
Yeah, this is where she goes, oh, I wonder why the door's open. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, and there's this moment of levity yet again where we see her exit her house and she starts moseying her old ass to the neighbor kids again. And you get that breath. You're like, all right, she's going to get back up. That's a smart move. Everything's good. And then they pull that rug from under you.
Yep.
When she goes back, she's just like, kids, would you believe it? I think I'm going to stay over here because, oh my God, you're both fucking dead. You got a skate in your face.
Yep. So then she goes back. I think she dies in their house, right? She doesn't go back to her house again.
Because the cops come and they say, "Oh, this is the intruder house, her house."
Yeah, they go in
there. While they go in there, Michael Myers just leaves the neighbor's house after his nice murders with a car.
And and they're like, "Oh, she's screaming." I remember now. She's screaming. She like breaks the window out or something. I'm in here, and they go, must be a prank."
Yeah,
like what?
Kids.
Yeah, it's probably kids.
Remember the first movie? They should have said that shit. I would have popped for it.
Probably kids.
Yes, probably kids. Oh, with that opening and then a little wink, wink callback line, even if it would have been kind of corny, I think, if you're watching this for the first time, all signs point to this movie's gonna be all right.
Yep, but they should with some comebackers too. They start with Mr. Sandman.
Yes.
There's a couple. One good scare. Janet Leigh's got that line about everyone's entitled to
Yeah.
one good scare, which is it's 2 word for word exact. It doesn't, but whatever. I get it. Yeah, so it's a strong start. I thought
Is a very good start.
we don't see
And
too
then,
much of Michael walking around and skulking and
yeah, and he looks good from what we've seen. It
Right.
doesn't look like that 6 bullshit. He looks good. And then it gets even better because then it's like next day or so, and the detectives are there, probably same night, I guess. I don't know. And they're giving us some exposition, like, "Oh, this was the nurse of Dr. Loomis. Remember that guy? He's the doctor of that Michael Myers."
they give us a lot. They give us too much, but I get it. I understand.
There's one line that I really appreciate because they do like, here's the exposition, here's who she was, this is why Michael Myers is there, because he does ransack her office because in her files because he wants to know where this person is, where that person is, where Laurie Strode is, because this nurse apparently has all the information in the world, which we learned in Halloween 2.
Right.
She's the one you go to.
Can't steal records from me, bitch.
And they start talking like, shit, is this Michael Myers? And the young guy's like, that motherfucker's gotta be like 80 years old. And the older detective, who's in good shape, he looks all right. It's just like, come on, he's not that old. He's younger than I am. And it's a great visual because you look at this guy who's older, but he's not, fucking decrepit. And you say, that's not a bad age. If he's younger, and he's even younger than this guy,
Right.
I
then
can
buy
see
it.
that. That's believable.
Yeah.
And I
well,
thought that was a good service because
It
people
is.
are going to think that, like, he's so old, I can't buy it. But they did work.
or maybe people didn't know. But they jam a lot of exposition dialogue in there, and I get it. I understand that it's necessary, and sort of like we talked with episode 7, where it's like FN Finn, I'm gonna call you. Like, yeah, you just got to do it. You got to get it out of the way. Just move. Let's move on. So they cram it all in there, but why did they pick the worst drawing of Michael Myers' mask to put up there that you could have possibly picked?
To curb your expectations.
Oh, so you're like, oh, well, if the mask looks better than that, I'll be happy?
Yes.
Okay.
Or maybe they're making fun of previous movies, like, remember when it looked bad?
And then there was a weird, like, the cops, like, yeah, I mean, he was younger. He's like, I was 15 when he killed his sister in 1963 when he was 6 years old as a boy.
Yeah,
Like,
he wore
okay.
a clown mask,
Yeah.
remember?
You're really ramming it in there now. But I liked the line I liked is where they mentioned that Loomis lived there. Like, Loomis just died, and he was living there with her. Because at first when I rewatched this, I'm like, why does he go to this random nurse's house? I know she's not random, but he wasn't. He was going to that's where Loomis lived.
Well, there was a period, probably late teens, maybe even early 20s, when I would watch this, and I didn't even tie it together that she was the Halloween 1 and 2 nurse. I mean, I got it because they tell you all this information, but only later was I like, that's the same actress and everything.
Right.
I understand.
We're old as fuck now, because I remember seeing this movie at the theater and thinking, man, that was so long ago, like 20 years ago. That's longer than I've been alive. And now he's kayfabe 80 years old. He's like fucking, okay, if he was 21, 40 years, he's 61 years old. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He's younger than I am. And I'm like, damn, that dude's probably really dead in real life of old age. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah. And speaking of that, and we'll get right back to H20 and following up exactly where we're leaving off. But that's a good point for this new movie that they're doing. That's coming out next year or whatever. Because I heard a theory, and it's just a theory, that apparently John Carpenter had a premise or concept himself that was pretty bonkers, and something the spirit of Michael Myers, ghost, it was more supernatural than you might expect.
Or
and he
want.
liked or want, yes. and people are starting to think, well, if John Carpenter really liked that idea and he supposedly really likes Danny McBride's script. I bet there's some elements of that in this script.
It won't just be H2O again, because they've already done that.
Yeah.
You know, so like this, in my opinion, so far where we are in this movie, I'm like, this is really solid. This is really solid. And sort of going into this movie, I read everything I could about it, and all the interviews and all the stuff online, Fangoria, whatnot. And I knew that she had a new identity. Like, I knew that she had a fake name. And I'm like, cool, that makes sense. I didn't know... I wasn't exactly sure that Josh Hartnett was going to be her son. And this is where I start to have problems with the movie as a first-time viewer. Because Halloween 3 was we knew that, to me, that doesn't count. You know, where 4 is like, we're going to ignore 3. 3 doesn't even really count. Like, 3 is not in the same universe. They sort of established.
But it could have been.
It could have been.
Boy, it could have been.
But it wasn't, right?
Oh.
So 4 doesn't really start with we're going to pretend numbers X through Y don't exist. Really, the movie that starts that is Jason Goes to Hell. You know, they really blatantly ignore a bunch of movies. Like, go out of their way to, like, this. None of this shit matters at all. And H2O does it, and I don't know they're doing it yet. But once we get to parts where she's like, oh, I died in a car crash, and then I'm like, are they not going to mention her daughter? Is she not going to, like, look at a picture of her fondly or anything? I'm like, oh, shit. They're just pretending like all of those other movies after 2 didn't happen. Because they didn't come right out and say that.
How would you do it?
I don't know.
See, you'd have to have another scene.
I don't blame them at this age.
Yeah, you would have to do another scene with the detectives, where when she's talking to her boyfriend, Ben Stein, about her past, and she's just like, and he's just like, Laura, you need clear eyes. Stop, you're drunk. And she'd have to say, you know, he tried to kill me here, then he tried to kill me at a hospital, and then, you know, I changed my name. I went to college in Europe and did like, you'd really have to say, oh, I didn't hear her say daughter at all. I guess that doesn't exist. But it's really left up to you to tie that together. Because I guess if you're a fan of all of them and you want that to exist, you could probably do some mental gymnastics to tie it together.
Yeah, you could try. You could do a Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah.
Which is that was quite flexible that they tried to walk that whole ending of H2O back.
That's the only part of that movie I like.
Right. I did
Michael
try.
loves a switch. Michael loves a switcher, Jim.
He does. I tried. I couldn't do it though.
Since the first episode, since Halloween episode 1, he loves a switcheroo. It starts
with fucking glasses on.
Put these glasses on. So we have the detectives at the nurse, and we get our opening. Then we hit the credits, and it's very cool credits. We get even more backstory. We get the music. We get some voiceover letting us know what's going on, some Loomis stuff from past films. And it's a great opening. And then things kind of start going downhill a bit, because it transitions to the school and Laurie Strode waking up, screaming her fucking lungs off. She's had a nightmare. And we start to learn what the hell's going on. It's like, okay, she lives at a school. Oh, she's a teacher at a school. She has a son goes to the school. And you're putting it all together, and you're trying to decide if you like that or not. And then you learn more about the story they're trying to tell and the history and the retcon they're doing. And this is where it kind of goes south, because we learn a couple things. One, Laurie Strode is an alcoholic. 2, she apparently married some drug addict and had a baby, and then the dad left. And I don't think that's what any of us wanted from Laurie Strode.
I like that she's a headmaster of a school. That seems in line with her character.
That's the only thing. Yes.
I understand how she would be emotionally traumatized. It doesn't bother me a ton that she's an alcoholic. it sort of doesn't even bother me that she's a cunt to her son, because she's got to be pretty messed up after that whole ordeal, and then not knowing if Michael's dead or not, or where he is.
But here's the thing. I understand that. The trauma, it's changed her, and now she acts out in these ways. But we're not really getting that. It's almost like she's just like run-of-the-mill bitch. Not traumatized bitch, just normal bitch.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah, I get it.
it's not a good sell.
Yeah, it takes them a while to really get under her skin and sort of peel that back.
And they do that thing. You're not supposed to do this. They say, show, don't tell. And she just fucking says it. Do you know what fucking day it is? It's Halloween. My brother. Rah! And they showing her freaking out, having the visions, drinking, like, oh, that's good. You don't need to do that. They kind of have the boy do it. Like, look, Ma, I know you're all fucked up because of your brother. That was 20 years ago. Did we mention that's 20 years ago? Because it was 20 years ago.
And I swear I remembered his dad being Jimmy the ambulance guy for some reason.
What the fuck?
And it's not. I completely made that up. But so I just remembered this now because we're talking about that he's 17. That's what let me know that they're retconning it, because Jamie would also be 17 or 18. Like, it would make sense if their ages were a bigger gap. Like, and then I left and I faked my death. Maybe I thought she'd be safer if no one knew who her parents were.
Yeah.
But she's got another kid that's virtually the same age. So I'm like, they're just pulling a switcheroo on us.
What if this? And we're going to talk about what we would do in the situation and pitch that sort of thing. But what if they chose to do that? Same storyline, but instead of Josh Hartnett, it's Jamie. And we get exactly what you said. And there's this conflict between them. Like, you fucking left me. And she says, no, I fucking went away from you to keep you safe. I thought he would come after me and not you. But he didn't. He went after you, and I wasn't there to protect you, and I'm very fucking sorry for that. Now we're here together, and let's be together, and togetherness, love, family.
Right, so they just ignore 6.
Cool. That would have been cool.
Wouldn't it have? And at 24, she could have played 17.
Oh, of course. She still can.
I know.
Danielle Harris.
I know, but yeah, 1998, she for sure could have played 17. And God, that would have been awesome. And it sounds like such a fanboy thing to be excited about, but she was so good in those movies.
She's good.
And just, now, they confirmed that that she's not in the new movie at all. So there's never going to be a movie with those two in it. It's just sort of a bummer.
That is.
They could have easily done it in this. I agree with you.
Now, with Halloween H20, this is where we kind of start following the boy. And he's like, I want to go on this field trip with my friends because we're going to drink and fucking all this kind of stuff. And she's like, no. She's very protective. Mm-hmm. I get it.
Yep.
Of course, he's a teen, so he's like, nah, I need to spread my wings. And, yeah.
And my nut.
And spread my seed. And so he's got his friends, and they're all outcast losers, and it's cute.
Very sexualized. Very Bob and Linda.
Yeah, very hospital worker from 2.
Yeah,
like we're always gonna get fodder. Here they are, the horny fodder. And
you knew it.
There's the love interest. Yeah. And the moment you see Ben Stein, you're like, this fucker is so dead. You're so dead. LL Cool J. I thought LL Cool J was going to die, but that's because I'm an idiot. LL Cool J ain't going to die.
That was the biggest reaction in the theater when he got shot. People were jumping up and down, screaming.
in pain and remorse?
I swear to you, I remember this. I'll remember this to the day I die. Someone jumped up out of their seat and said, "You did not just kill LL." When he shot when the guidance counselor shoots him, someone jumped up and they're like, "Oh no." Oh, and they sort of like, as he's getting shot, they let us see that it's him, like with the coat and everything. And this lady jumped up. You did not just kill LL. And I was like, he's dead. Sorry.
And he could have. At the end, they reveal like, no, I got shot in the shoulder or some shit. That's gonna be in my new book.
We'll talk
I'm
about the
alive.
very end part with
Yeah.
him in it, like his last scene, because it's cringeworthy.
Okay. Yeah, LL Cool J is a security guard. He works the gate,
Mm-hmm.
make sure people don't get in or out. And he spends every scene he's just on the phone with his fat wife talking about this book that he's
You
writing.
don't know that she's fat.
That's true.
He just made that up.
She sounds fat.
Oh my god.
So, Jim, we have the meat of this. This is the movie they're presenting to us.
At
Laurie
this point,
Strode.
we've only had the 3 deaths in the beginning. He goes to an outhouse. He goes to like a rest stop. Presumably,
This scene's awesome. Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about this.
Presumably, he's out of gas, right? So he steals a
Yes.
car when he's at the nurse's house. It's like
Yeah.
an old muscle car. It was like a Challenger or something. And
Yeah.
he.
So we
Go ahead. You describe the scene because they set it
Yeah.
up. The way they shoot it is really cool.
we for some reason we're now following this mother and her small daughter, 4 or 5, I don't know ages,
Mhm.
and the little girl's got to go to the bathroom, and it's this isolated like rest stop. And she's like, "All right, we'll go. I know you got to pee. We're gonna go." And she brings her to the women's room, and it's locked or some such shit.
Yes.
And she's like, "We gotta go to the men's." She's like, "But there's boys in there."
That's
And
the
she's like, "No,
boys'
well
room.
they're gonna have to fucking deal with it. Fuck them."
Mhm.
And they go in there and it's empty. And she puts the little girl in the stall. Mama goes into the next stall, and she's like, "Oh fuck yeah! This is the only time I get a minute away from this little bitch."
Yes. And this is no cell phones either. She had to just be with her thoughts.
Yeah, and she's going through a purse. She's just doing some mom business, and she hears the door creak.
Well, she goes through her purse because she goes, "Mommy," and then the mom looks and goes, "I know, there's no toilet paper." So she goes through her purse to get tissue out because all moms have tissue in their purses.
I see. Yeah, and she helps out the kid. The kid reaches. She's like, "Here you go. Take care of your shit."
And they get us with a. It's not a jump scare, but they got you on the edge of your seat because she's like puts the tissue down under the door, and you're waiting to see the little girl's hand, and it's a little too long. You're like, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, what's gonna grab her hand?" Nothing. The little girl just takes tissue.
Yeah, it's good timing. But we hear that door, and she's like, "All right, don't hear footsteps, whatever." And then the crack in the stall, and she sees, I think through the mirror, she straight up sees Michael Myers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking very, very scary. And she's just like, "Okay." I think she goes through her purse a bit, like, "What do I have a thing if this goes south?" And while she's getting ready for World War III here, the girl just starts screaming, "Ah, ah," and the mom doesn't give a fuck. Boom, kicks the stall open. That's how I remember it. Boom, kicks it open, jumps out, opens the girl's stall door, and the little girl's just whacking at her hair, going, "There's a spider." And then we cut to the outside, and Michael Myers has taken their car. He steals her keys at some point during all that.
Before
but,
that, yeah. So like
that's
she sees him grab the keys, and that's when she freaks out, and then like she does the smart thing, which is nothing. Because even if it's not Michael Myers, like some creepy dude just stole your keys, you're not gonna just run out there like, "What are you doing? Let me piss on you."
Yeah, loss of keys, like so far so good. I could
Right,
live with
exactly. And they skate. They skate. They're fine.
Yeah, it's very good, and he just drives away, and that's the last we see of these two characters. But we get to know the fact that Michael Myers is he's still trucking. We haven't had a scare in a little bit. We got a lot of exposition. So
We've
the
had some jump
filmmakers did us
scares.
but
Not a
we
Michael
needed
scare though. Yeah.
So they did us a bit of a solid here. And this is the meat of it. Michael Myers is clearly on the way to Laurie Strode and the son. And as an audience member, we're thinking, all right, this is what you're giving us.
They do another cool thing too. While it's not really doesn't seem plausible or believable that this mom and this little girl are driving this giant old truck, what they do is they give him a car that we can instantly see and go, "That's Michael. He's driving that car."
It's very recognizable.
I didn't get that the first time I saw it. Like I just was like, "Well, whatever. He's got an old fucking car."
See, I don't think that's necessary because the only time we see that car following, it's the only car on the road. Because the entrance to the school is like a dirt road, and it's the only car you're
Yeah, but if it was like a gold 97 Honda Accord and there was a car following, like when you see that, you know that it's him. So they gave
Yeah.
him a car that's easily identifiable. They didn't really use it well.
What would you have said or thought if it was the exact same car from the first one? Like an old, whatever the fuck it was. Cadillac, maybe?
It's
I don't know
station
cars.
wagon. It's like
Yeah.
a Chevy station wagon or something. Um, it would have made sense if that was at the nurse's house and he stole one of those. Because presumably they had more than one.
This is true.
Small town Illinois, not a lot of funding.
Yep. So here's my question to you. Because they're saying, here's Laurie Strode 20 years later. We've given you what she's been up to in the last 20 years. You might like it, you might not. But now we're thinking, well, what the fuck has Michael Myers been doing the last 20 years?
They shouldn't have let us think that.
Do they answer this at all?
No.
They don't give us anything, and that could be good. The mystery, the unknown.
I'm guessing there's versions of this out there where they do explain it, and this just works better.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, well, he was locked up he just escaped again. Like I'm sure they had other ways, and like, let's just fucking, like the runes. Runes of light, let's just stab him with some green juice. That's better.
Some guy in the forest just takes him in again. Nurses his
Oh,
wounds.
hey, buddy, you want some soup?
Have some soup.
Making soup with my raven.
But you don't have any theories or anything where Michael was for 20 years?
Oh, as a viewer?
Yeah, because like this movie's all about trying to help the film out.
I really
trying
don't.
to do those mental gymnastics, trying to tie it together for them.
I really don't. I could have if they established firmly that 2 didn't count. But they established firmly that it does count. Josh Hartnett says, you watched him burn. That happens in 2. She refers to him as her brother the whole time, which is great. I'm glad they didn't nix that angle. So what? He just burned and they just left a body there? I didn't stay to see the ashes. Okay, but wouldn't it have been on TV if they're like, he's alive and he's going to trial or something? Even in 1978, that would have been newsworthy.
Yeah.
We're talking about like the biggest. What I liked about 1 and 2 is I liked the sort of media circus at the end, at the beginning of 2. That's what would happen in real life. It's realistic. We understand that. So then after 2 happens and he kills like a dozen more people, of course that would be an even bigger story, and then people would find out that that was the sister. It would be all over the news and the papers. So while I don't like that they just threw him in a hospital for 10 years for 4, at least that was something. Like, well, that explains why he's alive, and, we didn't just leave him there. But in this one, I really couldn't come up with anything. I tried as a fan, and I'm like, so why did he wait 20 years? Why wouldn't he? He's got to wait. It's got to be fucking a Halloween that ends with an 8, and he just took 10 years off in between? I don't get it.
Yeah, because that's what happens here.
They try and give us a little bit because they're like, oh, well, how old were you when this happened? And she says to, was it Alan Arkin? Adam Arkin?
Adam Arkin?
Adam Arkin. He says, well, how old were you when this happened? 17. And she looks at the birthday card. 17. Oh, shit, my son's 17. Maybe he's coming for my son.
Yeah.
So they try and give you a little bit, like maybe he was waiting because he attacks when they're 17. I don't know.
It's like once they're legal, I'm all in on murder. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I get it, a trigger to get the plot going. That's not it.
No.
It's not that.
And they give us that way too late also, because we've already tried to figure out, well, where the hell has this guy been?
I just find it so strange that they do so much work. Retconning this, ignoring that, giving us exposition for this, but not a goddamn peep on where Michael Myers has been, and why he's back. Those are 2 very important things. Even if it's just a throwaway line, give us something. Right. He's locked up, or maybe she knows that he's locked up. I check every day. I call to make sure he's still there. Maybe
they gave us too much credit though, because the first introduction we have with Lori and her son is he gets the birthday card from Dad. Oh, 17. And Judith Myers was 17. Laurie Strode was 17. This guy's 17. I don't know.
I mean, it's not bad.
It's too
But
thin,
then
though.
at this point, here's the thing, though. At this point, you have to start telling us why.
Yeah, I mean, if you explained
Why
everything
17?
else in that one scene with the cops and then just like leave this in the background for us to figure out, you're putting your priorities in the wrong order, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And like that's what it's so lopsided because it's like, man, you guys did so much work over here, but you forgot all about this other important part.
Yeah.
At this point in the movie, he says, you know what? Everyone's going on field trip. We're going to stay here, loser reject friends, and we're going to eat a lot. We're going to book a lot.
Listen to
And
Creed.
they start, and yeah, we're going to listen to Creed and watch Scream, and they start getting picked off because that's what happens in the middle of these movies. And of course, there's a dumbwaiter scene because dumbwaiters are scary.
They are.
Nobody has them. I've never seen one in real life, but they're everywhere in horror films.
Well, this is an old institution of Californian education, Dale.
Mm-hmm.
They have a dumbwaiter.
I wouldn't even know how to work one. Even if it's just one button up, one button down, I'd like, nope, can't figure this out. But they're naturally scary because there's always what's in there.
Yeah.
And if I go in it, which I will because this is a horror movie, what's gonna be waiting for me on the other side?
Yeah, and people aren't supposed to go in there, and I'm going in there.
Yeah, like even like the skinny little girl gets in this dumbwaiter, and it's just like, right, you fat bitch. Oh my
You weigh
God,
more
this
than
is-
dishes.
You're supposed to be chicken dinner, not a fucking 112-pound person.
With a dead body in there, too.
This is true. So this starts happening because Michael Myers has infiltrated Hillcrest Academy because LL Cool J's just very shitty at his job. He's working the booth and he's just like, no, it's going to be romance, but it's going to have intrigue. And hang on, there's somebody at the gate, and it's the car that we've seen, but there's nobody in it. So he leaves the booth, he circles the car. It's just like, well, where the fuck is this guy? And I think Michael Myers just like walks in.
Past him. Yep.
Just
Everyone
walks
lost
in.
their shit in the theater.
It's like that sign scene.
Mm-hmm. They had a lot of those, and I give him credit there for not killing LL Cool J. Like it's scarier just seeing him walk past, and then you're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen now? They really pulled a lot of punches. They could have made it a lot more gruesome, a lot more Friday the 13th, but they didn't. So I give him credit there. But yeah, he just opens the gate, looks inside. I don't see anybody. Goes back and closes the gate. And it's a neat gag, and I like it. Even though this isn't a prison, he really could have gotten in there pretty easily. He could have just crawled under the gate. It's big enough.
Yeah.
But I like that, to work in a scare. Like right around the scares like they did in the first one, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a little background scare. And that's very fun. But LL Cool J is very bad. This is one of several times where he just fucks up his job. Because his other main job is, hey, don't let these kids leave. If you see them leaving, don't let that happen because they belong here.
So he does
and
that.
Of course, the son's like, come on, weren't you young? Just let us come on. We'll be back.
And they established that this has happened before. If I let you guys out one more time, I'm going to lose my job. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, and they go to town and they have a little shopping spree, but they're caught by Lori and Ben Stein. And Lori freaks out and she says, fuck. And he's like, don't say that word.
Yeah. Covers his ears, starts stomping his feet.
I do like that scene where she goes to lunch with the boyfriend and she's just drinking. And he goes to the bathroom and she grabs the waiter and is just like, can I get another glass of wine? And he looks at her glass of wine, which is full. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, now?
Yeah.
Because then she just, boom, she downs that glass of wine. So when the boyfriend comes back, it looks like she's on the same glass of wine. She has a drinking problem, and audience.
She has a drinking solution in my mind.
Yeah. So, very good. So throughout this, Lori has visions. She's haunted. She sees Michael Myers when he's not there. And then there's one part where she sees Michael Myers, and he's walking towards her. And she closes her eyes like she does because when she opens them, he's not going to be there. This has always worked. She opens her eyes. He's still there coming.
And
He's
the
still there
audience goes crazy.
Yeah.
They lose their shit again.
It's a great build. They've set this up, and now we're getting a payoff for it. Now, is this a scene where it's actually Ben Stein, or is it him and she gets pulled away?
It's never him.
It's never him.
So watching this scene, I was like, oh yeah, I remember it, and this is when it's really him. And then it isn't. It's Ben Stein again.
Okay, yeah.
So this is where they fucked up. This is where they betray the audience in a way that I don't like. Because to me, it would have been, not only would they not have betrayed us, it would have been cooler if it really was him.
Cool. I mean, he can go for the stab, and she can put her arm up, and she takes an arm bump. She gets slashed real bad, but then she has that moment. Oh shit, it's him.
Right, because at this point
let's get it going.
At this point, we don't know that Michael's here, but I think at this point, she knows something's wrong because she's looking for him. Oh, because she just wanted to call and check after she realized he's 17. They're about to fuck, and then they don't fuck. And she goes to call her son at Yosemite. The phone is out. She grabs another phone. The other phone is out. This is fucked up. What's wrong? So she's already on alert that something is wrong. So if that was really Michael, that would have been such a better scene right there.
Yeah.
But no, it's just him again. I'm like, God damn it, you guys with the jump scares and the Michael's not really there.
Well, what we get is also pretty cool, but we could have had both. And that's when Lori comes across the kids, and some of them are dead, some of them aren't. And she finds the alive ones who are freaking out. And she says, I knew this was going to fucking happen. Let's go. Come with me. And I think this is where she sees Michael, and she gets him in, and she closes the door just in time. And through the glass, she's face to face with Michael Myers, her brother.
A scene that they reshot.
Oh, no shit.
Yes. I found this out after the fact. But yes, that scene is really cool. So Josh Hartnett and Dawson's Creek, who's that? Michelle Williams?
Yeah.
They find their dead friends, sort of, something like that. And then they're running. They fight him off a little bit. She gets... I know for sure Josh Hartnett gets stabbed. I don't think Michelle Williams does. She hits him in the head with a rock. So, like, he's going to kill her. Josh Hartnett stops him. He gets stabbed. She hits him with a rock. So they're fighting him off. They're not just fodder. Mm-hmm. They run to this gate, and it's locked with a deadbolt. And she's looking for the key and finds the key. And then the keys drop. And then even though it's locked, they're trying to get those keys because he could just unlock it with the fucking keys. Mm-hmm. So the keys drop. She's reaching. Michael's gets closer. She's reaching. They show the same shot, but he's even closer. She's reaching. She can't get him. And then he's almost can get them with that knife. So there's a gate. They're locked inside of it. And then there's a locked door. And they're pounding on the door for someone to let them in. And your heart's pounding because those keys are right there. So he's like, okay, I can't reach him from here. And he gets the keys. They're pounding on the door. Lori opens the door. He gets the gate unlocked. She slams the door, and then he's right on the other side of the glass. And that's a great shot. And I remembered that shot from the trailer. Remember I told you I saw the teaser trailer, and that's when I was like, holy shit, this movie's real? And I rewatched the teaser trailer that I saw. It's a complete different mask. And the mask looked like such dog shit that they reshot scenes that had that mask in it.
Good.
It looks like
good in the final version.
Looked like part 4 hair and level of whiteness, but with giant alien eyes and an angry scowl. Go look it up when we're done.
I will. I absolutely will.
Actually, I could find it for you right now. But yes, that is the shot that we remember from the trailers, and then they showed it in more trailers, and it's just a tense moment. That's her first eye-to-eye with him, right? That's where she sees him again for the first time.
And that's when things start jumping off. Everything's confirmed, and here we go. And this is when everybody's running. It's chase. It's try to escape. This is the part where Ronnie, LL Cool J, he's in the halls like, is anybody there? Michael Myers is here and shit. And at the end of the hall, he sees the shadow of Michael Myers, and it is 100% Michael Myers, the silhouette, and he just shoots. He just shoots. And it's not not him.
No, it's not. Whoops.
Who is it?
It's LL Cool J. Yeah. Sorry.
Yep. So some bad things happen there, and this is the kids escape. She helps the kids escape, and she locks them out. She says, "I'm going back in," and I love that part because she's gonna try to finish it. And
well, this is
such a
before
cool,
so
strong thing.
A little bit before that, she locks the kids in. They're trying to escape. Old boy gets stabbed. He gets gutted Halloween 2 style with the scalp, like the scalpel nurse, where he lifts her in the air. So he lifts Ben Stein in the air. He's dead. And then she fakes Michael out, which I thought was cool. I don't know if she did it intentionally or not either, but there's blood all on the closet they're not in. And he busts through the closet door, and there's nobody in there. And she smashes him in the head with a fire extinguisher, and then gets the kids, and then they get out of there.
Yeah. Is this the part probably just before that where he's hiding in like the rafters and he just does the sickest one-arm pull-up drop down in the history of upper body strength?
So it's close to that part. That part comes when she says they're driving, they're speeding out of there, and then they do. I know they got to do it, right? Because it's a horror movie trope. But her car's like fucking brand new, and then I thought I didn't remember that he like cut the battery cable or something, like, oh, there's no gas in it. He fucked with the car, but he didn't. It just didn't start for 3 times for no reason, and then it starts. And then they speed to the gate, and she's like, go without me. And he, of course, Josh Hartnett's like, no, but his girlfriend's like, okay, see ya. And she just gets in the driver's seat and drives. And this is the second scene where she's like, do as I say. She gives him instructions, do as I say. That was a number 1 callback. I want you to go downstairs, go outside of the Mackenzie's house. So they give us that 2 times pretty close. When she goes back to hunt Michael down, that's when
he does the drop down.
He does the drop down. She kicks the glass to the fire axe and pulls the fire axe out. And this is when people like my mom, this is when people were like, oh shit, this has got real now. She's going to take it to him. This is what she needs to be doing.
It's good shit.
It is good shit.
Because even if you're watching the movie and you think you know where it's going, and maybe you're a little disappointed, I don't think anybody was expecting her to be like, I'm going back. And I'm gonna kick some shit.
I'm gonna finish this. She's not saving anybody. She's not going back to save anyone.
No, it's just like, that's so cool.
But it's not totally. It made more sense to me seeing it today as a parent, because what she's doing, no matter what, is she's getting her son away from Michael Myers, whether or not she dies, and she's buying them some time to get the police there. Because the last thing she wants is they all leave, and then nobody knows where Michael Myers is again.
See you in
then everyone,
4 years.
Right, everyone's still in danger. Her son's still in danger. So she's like, I'm going to be a buffer. Yeah. But she's going to go end this shit. She goes back in, and then he just drops down from the pole. Does the pole drop down? And
I hate that part. So stupid.
Yeah, it's just,
it looks bad.
It looks bad because you can't reconcile it in your mind. Like, what is he? So wait a minute. So let me get this straight. They flee. Not only does he not chase them, he just climbs that pole, hoping she comes back. What the fuck? Of all the places to hide.
Yeah. So let's talk about the ending here. Because they have a little showdown like the cafeteria, and there's a bunch of tables, and there's a lot of hiding under the tables while he walks on top of the tables.
Yeah.
And that's always kind of fun.
It's cool.
A lot of movies have done this, and it's always a good time.
Then he starts getting pissed, and he just starts fucking flipping tables over.
Yeah.
And he tells
so
her,
yeah, the
now what are
boyfriend-
you going to do? No more table.
And she says, I am the table. And
Yep.
he just takes a bump right through it. How does the escape happen? I'm trying to think how we get from here to the fucking car.
Oh, it's cooler than I remembered. So we get the table scene, cafeteria scene. She's under the table. He starts flipping them over. She goes into the kitchen and dumps the knife drawer out, right? Starts whipping knives at him. And it's like, I was super happy that none of these knives stuck in him, let alone like all of them, right? Like these knives are just like flopping past him. He's like, are you fucking serious? And then like one of them sticks in the wall. So like 1 out of like 5 stuck into the wall. I'm like, okay, I'll give you that one. But then she grabs a couple of them and they end up fighting like on a ledge, and she like double knife, like stabs the shit out of him with these knives. And then he falls over the ledge, lands on the table with the knife still in his chest.
I am the table.
And it's another callback, right? Because the final battle with Michael in the first one, he's taking this damage, falls from a great height.
Yes.
So she's stabbing the shit out of him, and then he falls from a great height. Bam, he lands. So what I was waiting for, and they shoot it in a way to sort of trick you in a good way, is she looks down, there he is, then we see a shot, and she's walking down the stairs or whatever. Like, we haven't seen him for a minute. So what we're anticipating is she gets back down there, and he's gone. But he's still fucking there. And
too old.
She yanks the knife out of his chest, and she's about to give him like a final killing shot. And LL Cool J, stop. He's dead. He stops her.
Yeah.
And we know he's not dead. She knows he's not dead. LL doesn't know he's not dead.
It's true he doesn't know, but for the 9th time this movie, LL Cool J has failed at his job.
Yeah.
Securing safety.
Let her kill Michael Myers. So the ambulance the police arrive.
Yeah, you get the movie's over. I bet you $100 people started leaving, because people start to leave movie theaters like when they start smelling that fucking epilogue. They're like, oh, we're just wrapping up. Oh, let's beat traffic. Yeah. And I bet you once you see sirens at the end of a horror movie and they're doing the wrap up, people are going to start leaving.
Now,
so I bet people started leaving.
I
but
will
the movie's
say,
not over.
When I was there, no one was leaving yet. But I think people were waiting for this to dovetail into an ending that leaves it open for another one.
Yeah, a sit up, or a morgue scene. Yes. But we don't even get that far.
No, she does not allow this to happen. She pulls...
They get him in an ambulance.
Right. So the axe that she hacked him in the chest with is now sitting on a squad car on a sheet, like it's a piece of evidence or something. It's not an ambulance, because I got that wrong.
Oh.
I was misremembering it.
It's like a weird white van, isn't it?
It's a coroner. He's dead, right? It's the coroner. So it's not even an ambulance. She picks up the axe, grabs this cop's gun, holds them at gunpoint. Fuck you. Get the fuck away from me.
She learned from Loomis.
Yeah, right. This is total Dr. Loomis move. Then she points the gun at the coroners, and she tells them to like load the body in. Go ahead and put him in there. And then she drives. She just starts driving with him back there zipped up. Now, because I know what happens in Resurrection, I'm looking for anything I can grab onto to be like, fuck you, this didn't work how you wanted it to. And the only thing I could come up with, because they did a pretty good job with that explanation, she's driving the van, she keeps checking on him. Then we see some movement in the bag. Which we're expecting, right? Mm-hmm. We don't really know where she's going. I don't think she knows where she's going. Like, she doesn't know what's happening yet. He unzips the bag, and then he lunges at her, right? Which is, like, if I was a coroner that got my larynx crushed by Michael Myers, I don't think I would leave his mask on my face and try and kill Laurie Strode while she's driving. That's
right.
Probably not how I play that.
Yeah, you're watching this from the Resurrection.
Right. So he lunges at her, and then she loses control of the car, and they roll tumble down the hill, and then
hits a tree.
Hits a tree. The saddest moment of my movie-going life happens, and this tumbles down a hill. He's up against the tree. The fucking van smashes into him. He can't move. He's pinned up against the tree. She gets out of the van, and for the third time, that axe is exactly where she needs it to be. She picks it up, and she says Michael to him, I think is the line, and he reaches out his hand. He's trying to take his mask off, and he can't. He reaches out his hand to her, and she reaches out her hand to him, and they touch.
She considers it, yeah.
They touch fingers, and then she does a really good piece of acting, because you can see in her face her go from sort of
maybe there's hope.
Hope, pity, this is my brother, to I gotta just fucking kill this monster. What am I thinking?
No.
And she fucking lops his head off with one fell swoop, and his head just falls.
And you get that awesome, you get that great sting. As soon as the head goes off, it's like,
mm-hmm.
And and they start kicking in the music.
The old
and it's
school
just
theme.
Like,
we finally get the original theme.
And it's perfect usage, perfect timing, no fucking around. They weren't thinking of Busta Rhymes and Resurrection at the time.
Nope.
They were just thinking,
this shit is over.
I think they're like, once again, like two, they're like, I think we've done it. There's no coming back from this.
What I remembered hearing was that she, and I was like, God, I hope this isn't true. But I remember her saying, I will come back and do it if this is the last one.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Right? So I'm like, God damn it. So I leave that theater and I'm pissed. And not so much about, like, even at 14, I'm like, yeah, I know you can't do the Thorn thing. It's stupid. But did you have to retcon James? All that stuff. That didn't bother me. What bothered me is he's dead. There's no more Michael Myers.
Yeah.
What am I going to do in 2 more years? Well, I was hoping for this to, like, revitalize this franchise, and he's fucking dead. Oh, God. It felt like a hero died in a movie. It felt like at the end of Star Wars, like Darth Vader just cuts off Luke's head, like, it's over. Ding. I'm like, no, it can't end like this.
Yeah, because for most of the movie, you're not really rooting for Edge. Kind of awful.
Yeah.
It helps where she starts being badass when she turns back to head inside, back towards the danger with the axe. That helps. But at the end of the day, it's just like, we're not here for Laurie.
Yeah, and we don't get like the sort of the resolution after this, where there's another little scene where there's hope for a sequel. They're like they faked that. Like, you thought that with the police cars, that this is that scene where they're like, oh, there's going to be a sequel. And she's like, oh, no, we're going to extend this whole there's going to be a sequel scene, and I'm going to cut his fucking head off, and the head falls, and the movie's over.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great ending.
It's very good. It's very good. Like I said, the music, the sting, it just hammers it home. This is the end. If anybody's going to kill him, it should be her. Like this. Pretty cool, all alone, not in front of a bunch of people. They had their little moment. That was nice. Cut his fucking head off. Like, that's always a great move.
Yeah,
like I always say that with like Jason. Like, just fucking cut him into pieces, man.
Yeah,
cut him into pieces. Send that shit to opposite ends of the globe. And this is their version of it. Like, his head's gone. Goodbye.
Chop up his body, send half to pieces to Norway, and he'd still come back from the grave. I love that line from Monster Squad. It's fucking epic. But before this happens, when the police cars sort of things are wrapping up, that's when we see LL Cool J, and he's on the phone. No, baby, it's gonna be a romantic thriller. I'm like, you're coming up with book ideas now and calling your wife, and like, you just got shot, and then he's like, no, baby, the bullet just grazed me. Like, oh, thanks for that that exposition was needed.
We don't think you're a zombie, LL.
Right. And I'm like, God, did they have to put that in there? It's so cringy. Yeah. Like, all this serious shit just happened. He's like, it's going to be a thriller. Oh, God damn it, LL.
You know what's funny? I just watched it. I actually watch this movie a lot because it's just available for me on Comcast here. I always just assume that's the ending. Head, music, sting, credits. Because that's it, right?
Isn't it?
Okay, yeah. Okay, for a second I thought we went back to LL,
No, no,
and
we
that
don't
was
go
going to
back to him.
upset me.
I was saying like when,
Oh,
like
thank God.
before she gets in the
Before the
before
corny.
she gets in the van, they're sort of like wrapping things up, and he's just walks by like, "No, baby, the bullet just grazed me. It's a romantic thriller." I'm like, God, fuck you.
All right, and that's Halloween H2O. Definitely has its flaws, but there's some really cool shit as well.
And the other ones are so bad. This is really like the third best one.
Now, yeah, low bar. What would you do if it's 2017 and they wanted to do a Halloween movie? But we're going to skip all the middle ones just like H2O did. We're going to go 1, 2, this one. What are you doing? What can you do?
If we're doing 1, 2, this one,
Or 1, this one, whatever works best for you.
see, 1, this one is hard for me. Unless we do, because, okay, here's why. The end of 1, to me, is perfect. That's how the series should have ended. He falls. He could be at your house. We talked about this. We said this a bunch on both of these shows. But then when that doesn't happen, okay, well then where did he go? And it's 40 years later. I just can't get from that to 40 years later. I like how they did it in 2. I like that. I like he's still looking for Lori.
I think whatever you did, you'd have to address it. Like I complained about H2O not addressing the one thing they decided not to give exposition on. You'd have to do something. But I think if I did a 2017 follow up, you'd have to have Jamie Lee Curtis. You just have to, which I think the new one does. Have her play mid-40s, which she can do, but she doesn't have a son. She doesn't have a daughter. She doesn't have Jamie. In fact, I think she would have no children because deep down she's afraid that one day Michael's going to come back. She's going to go after those kids. So she
possibly, yeah.
She made that choice to, I'm just not going to do it. I'm protecting them by not having them.
And her children being that old means she got over some heavy shit pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like it would make sense if her children were 20, 10 yeah, younger than.
There was some recovery time.
Right, like then 2 years after all this happened. Because that would scar a motherfucker for life.
Yeah. In mine, you have to address it. I still like the idea of a cult, maybe Thorn or something similar, maybe the Silver Shamrock people from 3, if you want to tie that in. And I would have this single, somewhat crazy Lori investigating the shit out of this cult, like her whole life, just trying to figure it out, trying to make breakthrough after breakthrough, and then she does. She finds a key location.
To me, it's almost easier if you. I don't know. Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
I'd want her to earn it, and we'd see her earn it, and not here's the nurse, she did it. The nurse did it. It's like, no, Lori's going to do it, and she finds the location for some ritual. And of course, it's on Halloween because that's when they do it. And she witnesses firsthand this cult ritual or a group of mysterious cultists. Paul Rudd is there, and they take a knocked out little girl, and they're doing some ritual stuff on her, putting a curse on her. And Lori steps up. She stops them, maybe even kills them, and she'd end up taking the girl in. Being like a surrogate mother, but the girl's never really the same. Very quiet, emotionless, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. And then we'd end up flipping it. She'd end up taking this Dr. Loomis role, and this little girl, even though as she's raising her, trying to keep her on this right path, but it ends up not going that way, and she has to stop her in the end.
Okay, so. In your story, does this happen off screen? So does this movie start with her daughter or whoever?
Oh no, we see all of it. There would be a very large passage of time somewhere.
Okay. So I didn't know if it was her daughter escapes and she's hunting her daughter down.
Yeah, it'd almost be, I wouldn't say montagey, but 5 minutes of her as a child, 5 minutes of her as a teen, 5 there, and then she's how old was Michael? 21. We start getting around there, and then the movie really starts taking off, and suddenly we're doing it again, but the rules have changed.
It's hard for me to do with Laurie Strode alive because while I wouldn't have just done what they did in H2O, it would have been, I couldn't really think of anything plausible that doesn't involve her hiding, that doesn't involve her like getting as far away from Haddonfield as she can.
Yeah, I mean, but that's, I mean, think of that pop, that fucking face pop she got when she said, "Get the fuck out of here, Josh Hartnett. Don't do movies anymore.
Oh no, it was great.
I'm going back. I'm gonna be a fucking hero."
And they already did
it.
That's sort of my problem. So it's almost easier for me if something like 4 and 5 happened. If he falls out the window, they don't catch him, he kills more people, and then at some point he has to get caught and escape again. Something like that. I can't just have him be out in the wild for 40 years.
Yeah.
So I think what I would do is have maybe not count 2 in continuity, but sort of 1 wasn't the end of it. He didn't fall out the window and then maybe he falls out the window and then he gets
yes, there was an aftermath, but not the aftermath you've seen.
Right. So in something that requires them to be together in the same room, something that would legally force her to have to face this, like some sort of
courtroom.
Some sort of trial or some legal thing where she has to be involved, because I can't unless like you did where
Lori, you got a new partner. You're not gonna like it.
It's your brother, not that brother. But I also like so let's say they're at some court building or whatever, they're at some hearing, he's there, and the tension is crazy, but maybe he's in another catatonic state, but seeing her snaps him out of it. Maybe after they captured him and him being away from her for X amount of time, he just sort of goes back in his shell and he just waits. He plays the waiting game again because he can wait. Motherfucker can wait. We know that. But we need to know where he's waiting and why he's waiting. So,
and that's why like the Colts are good, because you can just kind of brush that off. Like they took him and hit him.
Yeah, I want the town to be in on it. I don't even just want like the cult, like a cult, because we don't know a ton about Haddonfield. It's supposed to be everyone's town. That's why it's supposed to be scary. But more than just like they did in 6. But if it goes deeper, if we get some It level shit, where like, we get some history about this fucked up town, because we still don't know why he killed Judith. What makes a 6-year-old boy do this? So take the best parts out of the cult and use that. She has to go back to, I mean, we're led to believe Smith's Grove's not too far away from Haddonfield. Like a couple hours, maybe an hour, who knows, right? But closer than she would be to Haddonfield. So she goes just to go out here for some sort of thing. And then she reluctantly goes back to town for somebody she knew.
Funeral.
Whatever. Yeah, something like that.
Totally died. She totally died.
Yeah.
Gotta go to her. Oh, she already totally dead.
She's already totally dead. Yeah. But she goes...
Tommy's dead.
Yeah, maybe.
He's fucking dead.
Or maybe Tommy, because Tommy was a witness, he's there at this thing, and then they start shooting the shit or whatever, or not in a jovial way. Like this should be heavy shit. It shouldn't be like, hey, let's go get a beer. Maybe they're just trying to come to terms with this, and this, we find out this shit is deeper in the town. And then when she comes back to town, we sort of see some odd looks from a bunch of people. They look uncomfortable. They know who she is. They don't know why she's back. And I want there to be some fucked up shit with Lori's parents. You know, with like Lori should still be his sister, and there should be some fucked up shit with her parents and the Myers. What do we
Yeah,
don't
like
know anything about
like
the
maybe
Myers family.
like maybe the parents kind of like almost gave up the kid like to the cult incident where they're just like, yeah, you can like have the soul of this kid if we get great power out of it or whatever. um and it's just like, all right, that kid's just a shell now.
I would think the
Worth
parents,
it.
for some reason, that both sets of parents, the Strodes and the Myers, there's got to be some connection there, because who just gives up their kid for adoption because the one kid killed the other sister before this other sister knew anything about, like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And then who, like, okay, it's too much for her to handle. That couple down the street's going to adopt you. How is that any better? It's not like you're getting far away from this, you know? So let's connect them somehow. That this is some fucking sinister plot of this town.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something there, but I think like with mine, I was like Lady Michael Myers, and she's Dr. Loomis. Like I obviously there was no Michael Myers in anything that I had pitched.
Correct.
Because I can't, and that's why people would say no to that. They'd be like, "Are you fucking out of your mind? We tried this with 3. You're an idiot." But I just can't come to terms. Like you said, how old is he now? 2017.
He'd be 61.
Unless
he's 21 in the first one. It's 40 years later. He'd be 61.
And that's why I think there might be some weight to this theory with this new film, where they're like, it's more of like the spirit. It's more like the spirit of Michael Myers, because I mean, shit, 61-year-old man.
It's unfortunate.
I can't put that over. I can't get that over.
I don't blame you. I mean, you kind of can with a supernatural character, but we're still on the fence about how supernatural is Michael Myers, because it depends on what continuity we're working with. If you make him too supernatural, you take sort of the essence away from him, and he's not as scary in some ways, right?
I mean, this time if he's 61, he's like, I shot him one time. He's really old.
He got out of breath chasing me and died. Dr. Loomis is gone, so that'll be missed. There's nothing we can do about that. That's life. Mm-hmm. And we know her. So now I'm trying to go back to figure out what they're gonna do. So we know her daughter's gonna be in it.
Yeah, that's who Judy Greer's playing apparently.
Yes,
she's the funny actress in Arrested Development with the lopsided bosoms. Interesting choice. She's very funny. I can't see her in anything serious, so this is going to be a bit of a struggle for me. But she's good. And she plays a small, meek type of person. I think that'll go over. Underdog. That should be interesting. But is it gonna be more of the same? Going after the blood, going after her now? Because she's gonna be the fucking star of this, isn't she?
You would think so. Probably.
Yeah.
Here's what I need to know. Why? We saw what happens 20 years later. And we saw what happens in the movie. So we saw in Halloween 4.
That's not going to count, though. That's not going to count.
No, I understand. But I have a bigger point. So in Halloween 4, they do callbacks to the original. You know, they try and do some of the gags from the original. A couple. H20, they borrow some dialogue. They want you to remember the original. He's still after Lori. He's after her son. Okay, we've seen that shit. So, can we get away from that? Can we get away from? Do we need all the callbacks? I think as an audience in 1998, there weren't as many niches. There wasn't the internet. People didn't know everything. Can you just give us a fresher take than just, hey, remember this movie, and we're gonna do the same shit?
I think we probably will, and we might have that discussion where I say, you know what? It was bad, but I really applaud them for trying to go with something original. I think there's a good chance that that's the discussion or angle that I come from with it. Because as far as going after the blood, going after the relationship, going after the blood, that's only established after 2.
Right.
Well, it starts with 2, but then we go after Jamie, the baby, fucking blood baby. I mean, that's only exists because of those sequels, which they're ignoring. So we can kind of start fresh. Michael Myers, somewhat human, somewhat supernatural. Don't know why. Went after his sister one time or twice and begin.
Right.
And
Killed
now
one
he's
sister.
61 or potentially a spirit. I'm going to have to look that up because apparently that's somewhat well known that John Carpenter wanted to do almost like this ghost story type thing. But I've never fucking heard anything about it. So I'm going to try to research that one.
Well, we've talked about
Just-
this. Halloween is like the least John Carpenter movie.
Yeah.
So it would make
It
sense that he would want to do some wacky shit.
It's like some fucking Chinese spirits
It's
and
like
shit.
Prince of Darkness.
That's his jam. That's his jam.
Yeah. Chinese spirits. But don't what I'm just getting at is don't just make it he's back and he's going after Lori and now he's going after her daughter and then we're going to give you some of the same similar shots. We're going to try and make this feel like I don't care. Don't try and make it feel like the original. Make it just make it a good movie.
Do you think
That's Halloween? Like the whole the curse of the thorn that shit didn't work because it just wasn't pulled off right. You know, there was a lot of money was an issue and that kind of thing, but it doesn't mean it couldn't have been pulled off. So think outside the box and shit could be like I'm not. Hey, they could do this Spirit of Michael Myers thing and it could be awesome. I'll have an open mind when I go into it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I had pitched Lady Michael Myers. Laurie takes her in. Doesn't work. Girl goes heel. Laurie's the new Loomis. Chases her down. I think with mine, I'd end with her saving her. Obviously, nobody saved Michael Myers. I'd like to go with the angle that because she, showed her so much love and compassion as a child and as a youth, instead of with Michael, it's the opposite. They just locked him up and shunned him for 20 fucking years. I think we might get a face turn at the end from Lady Myers, just because that's a nice message I could deal with. And you tease maybe it didn't work, and we'll have sequels. Now, what do you think? We're talking about this new movie and this spirit angle that they might take, and something new, something fresh. What do you think the odds are that they do something similar to what I'm saying, where it's somebody else has the Michael Myers bug? Whether it's Judy Greer, maybe it's fucking Laurie Strode, maybe Laurie's the new fucking, she's got the murder bug. Do you think they do something like that where it's somebody else?
And Akkad is tied to this, right? Is Malik like producing it or something?
I would assume so, but I'm not sure. I'll look, but go ahead.
I just can't. It's hard for me to like put odds on it. Like say, I give it a 50-50 chance. I wouldn't be completely taken by surprise if they did something like that. But the other part of me thinks, like Danny McBride, I'm a big fan. I want to write, this is what I think should have happened. I can't imagine big fans writing Michael Myers out of the movie.
I agree with that. And Malik Akkad is a producer on it. And yeah, I mean, you can try to be a clever screenwriter and do all these things. But at the end of the day, people are going to want that mask. They're going to want that on the box. They're going to want to see the sit up. They're going to want all the high spots. They're going to want the best spots.
That's what they want.
And it's going to be hard. Even if you have a cool idea, they'll say, that's great. We're going to rework that and make that a different movie with a different title. But this has to have Michael Myers, and he does the thing.
Yep. Because it keeps it. I'll end with this, with what I have to say about it. We've basically seen all the angles, right? We've seen what happens right after he falls out that window. 2, what happens when he comes back? They lock him up. He escapes again. We get that in 4 and 5. What if we start to explain where his power comes from? We get almost none of that in 5, but we learn about his caretaker and that there's more people involved in 5. And then we get 6, 2 different versions of that movie to try and explain shit. So, and then we get, forget about all that just happened. What would happen if Laurie Strode, what happens if she never died and he comes back to get her? Then we got that, right? Then we got, what happens if we reboot everything with 2 new movies by a guy who shouldn't make movies? Like what if we taken it a complete different direction? They did that in 3. They've done all of these things. So I'm just curious to see what are they going to do? That's where my interest lies.
I just like that we already know it's going to be better than the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. That it's going to be better than whatever Friday the 13th probably brings. It's just, I don't know. I just feel it's going to easily be better than that.
Oh, I'm not saying it's going to be bad, good.
Because normally when we have these discussions about a movie, you're like, who knows? It's going to be shit, but I'm going to see it. But this one, we're actually talking like there's a very decent chance that it could be damn good.
I do think it could be good. I think in general, things like this are getting treated better. You know, it's not just getting sort of like, let's just make a cheap Halloween sequel. We'll get some money. You know, I think people are taking it more seriously. And it's sort of like, you don't need to do anything. Everything's been done with this. So I just keep going back to John Carpenter. If he wants to be involved, he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need the money. If he wants to be involved, there must be something he really likes about it. And if there's something John Carpenter really likes about it, I will give it a chance.
Yes.
Right?
I just looked at the Michael Myers mask from the original H20 run before they switched and did the reshoots. This is terrible.
Yeah, it's worse than 4.
Terrible. It's a terrible. Why do they give him eyebrows?
They're
so
big
weird.
too. They're so, and he's like, ugh, and his alien bug eyes. I gotta say, the alien eyes was probably try to make it easier for the actor to see.
Fuck him.
I know. They did in every other movie.
Just walk straight.
Right.
Next week we're going to discuss Quentin Tarantino's
Mario Brothers.
Oh yeah, that's right. We did that. Damn it. I've been wanting to do Hateful Eight.
We could do Hateful Eight. I'd much rather watch that.
I forgot about. We put up a poll on Facebook, and we listen to people when we do these polls. Apparently, visual polls go over more than regular text polls. So
and the results were overwhelming.
They were overwhelming. Super Mario Brothers next week.
God damn it! I should have just let you do Hateful Eight because I was like, oh, I want to watch that so badly.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I want to pick it eventually. But yeah, Mario Brothers next week. This was like an hour and 40 minutes. That one's going to be like a 30-minute episode.
Yeah, so it'll balance out, guys. Although I do have I will never forget the day that I saw Mario Brothers at the theater.
And we will discuss that.
We will discuss how it made everything worse.
Let's plug it up. I have nothing really going on. Follow me on Twitter, social media, at Dale Zawada. Everything is at Dale Zawada. CharacterWorkPodcast.com. Amazon, link at the top. Click it. Do your shopping. I just bought over $100 worth of stuff for Christmas. You're probably going to do the same. Use that link. We get a little bit of that.
Use the link. It's Black Friday sales coming up. Thanksgiving.
Yeah, cybers. We're going to be cybering.
Yeah, we're going to cyber each other. I don't have any plugs, but you can follow me at JamesJRMusic on Instagram. And that's all I got for now. Hopefully I'll get some more recording done. I did some vocals recently, but it's just harder to do here. We can talk about that more on another episode.
Yeah. We'll have time next week.
We'll have plenty of time next week. And we promise, at least this year, we're done with Halloween movies.
Yes. January 8th, we're back with Halloween Resurrection, Busta Rhymes. This was episode 46, Halloween H20, 20 years later. Thanks for listening. I'm a friend of the Chris. That's a different franchise.
I was just going to say that. God damn it.
I'm Thorn.
I'm a thriller.
Romantic thriller.
It's a romantic thriller. You did not just kill LL.
No sound.
Oh, the lady who stood up in the theater was.